Hello again, I'm Ray, as you probably know by now, from the Radio Workshop. Recently I've been talking about the big DAB switchover in the UK. The government were making some announcement the other day, and everyone was expecting them to come out with a switchover date, which they haven't done. So anyway, all this chat prompted someone to contact me. Now this is rather an interesting story. This chap didn't give his name. I don't even know where he lives or anything about it, but I do know that he lives in a village, and DAB radio in the village, forget it, you can't pick it up. FM isn't good, it's receivable, but apparently it's not good in the village. So what he did, the old couple across the road, they like Radio 4, so he built a little medium wave transmitter. Because basically everyone in the village, they've got it. They rely on medium wave because they can receive a few stations on medium wave. FM, as I say, isn't too good. So he built a little medium wave transmitter, and he picked up Radio 4 on his computer, put it into the transmitter, a half decent area in the garden, and across the road he went over there and said, "There, look, tune in on medium wave to there. There's Radio 4, loud and clear, interference free," and they loved it. Totally illegal, of course, but that's beside the point. They loved it. So he was telling me the neighbours either side, they got to hear of it. Oh, great! They tune in on medium wave to Radio 4. Just a blank spot in the medium wave band somewhere. There's enough blank spots these days. So, anyway, it's a bit of a long story, but word got round. Of course, very small village. He had a bit of a Welsh accent. He rang me by a bit of a Welsh accent, and I thought, this is a bit of a giveaway. Perhaps it's a little remote Welsh village. Anyway, it ends up the whole village now listen to Radio 4 on his little local relay transmitter on medium wave, which is great. I mean, it's a great idea. And see, a lot of these people, that apparently they're elderly, they don't have computers, they're not on the internet, they don't have these up-to-date mobile phones, so they can't get radio stations there, they haven't got the internet and all this. All they've got basically, he was saying he's a retired radio engineer, and he's a radio amateur, so he can knock up these little transmitters and things. I think it's a lovely story. Then people were saying, what about Radio 2? We'd like to hear Radio 2. So he built another little medium wave transmitter, and he got an old computer for this job, just listening to the internet radio stations on that, rather than use his computer. Anyway, so now on medium wave, he's got two little radio stations, side by side, Radio 2 and Radio 4. I don't suppose Ofcom even know about him. Apparently he's been doing this for several years. I don't suppose Ofcom even know about him, and if they do, what are they going to say? They're probably not bothered. He's not interfering with anyone. So anyway, it was my talking about this digital switchover that, as I say, prompted him to contact me. And apparently he's not alone. He's a radio amateur, he talks to other people in other villages and wherever, and this has been done apparently somewhere else. I think the other local one is on FM somewhere, so you can pick up Radio 4 properly on FM rather than a weak scratchy signal. And it's I just thought I'd mention it because it's rather a nice story. I mean, I don't for 1 minute condone illegal radio transmissions, of course. It's pirating, totally against the law, but a damn good idea. And what he also does is hooked up a microphone. He's got a mixer and all this, and he's got this microphone so he can interrupt both his transmissions, Radio 2 and Radio 4 on medium wave, and he can chat in the microphone so he can keep villagers up to date with things. It's not quite his own radio station because all he's doing is relaying BBC transmissions, which he's getting from the internet. So of course he doesn't have to man the radio station. Apparently he said it's on 24 hours a day, he just leaves it on. And if there is anything important to say to the villagers, he just sits at his desk, switches to microphone, has a chat, then goes back to Radio 2 and Radio 4. I think it's a lovely idea. And of course, during the war, because enemy aircraft were using like the main BBC transmitters as a radio beacon for direction find, you know, the aircraft would come in across the channel, home in on the home service radio transmitter, you know, then they knew where they were. They could do direction finding and they knew where they were. So the BBC turned that off, and in a lot of towns around the country, around wherever, I don't know, probably the home counties at least, they dotted little 10-watt transmitters about, which would relay the home service signal. So of course anyone trying to direction find, they had signals coming from here and there, left, right and centre. But this idea, you know, is it's the same thing. This chap is relaying BBC radio transmissions, you know, for the local villagers. Anyway, there we are. I just thought that was a good idea. The latest thing I've heard is that they're going to introduce the new mobile phones with DAB radio on. Who wants DAB radio on a mobile phone? When, I mean, especially with the advent of 4G and all this coming in, you've got 50,000 internet radio stations to choose from on your phone. Why have DAB? And I don't know what the signal is going to be like receiving DAB on your phone. I don't know. But there we are. So perhaps when medium wave, long wave, FM, perhaps when it all closes down, perhaps we'll find in a lot of towns and villages little relay stations popping up. So we'll all be able to tune in to Radio 4, LBC, radio this, radio that. There'll be little pirate stations popping up everywhere, relaying stuff from the internet. I love it. But of course, don't do this at home because it's illegal. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.